The night I stepped into the hotel ballroom, an almost physical pressure seized my chest. It wasn't the buzz of conversation, the clatter of cutlery, or the practiced politeness that filled the space. It was her. Claire, my wife of 8 years, the woman who had known the softest parts of me, was only a few feet away, locked in a kiss with another man. This wasn't some careless, drunken mistake you could excuse with a shrug. No. This was deliberate. Her hand rested on his chest the way a claim does. Something inside me split quietly, like a hairline crack spreading across glass. I didn't make a scene. I didn't shout. I walked forward slowly, each step careful, each breath weighted. When I reached the spot where I could speak without raising my voice, I did. "You just ended our marriage," I said, calm and sharp, each syllable cut. Claire froze. Her color drained. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. The man beside her, tall, clean-cut, vaguely familiar from photos she had once shown me, stepped back and melted into the crowd, trying to vanish. Claire stayed, eyes wide and fixed on me. Then she whispered 2 words that landed harder than the kiss had. "You're wrong." Those 2 words churned in my head as we drove home in silence. The engine hummed, the only sound between us. My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Claire stared at the window like someone else entirely. Finally I spoke, low and hot, "Who is he?" She paused, fiddling with her purse strap. "It's not what you think, Daniel." I almost laughed at that. Not what I think. I had watched her lips on his. I had seen her hand settle on his chest. I had seen the look, once reserved for me, now given to someone else. "Then explain it," I said, keeping my voice steady though I was burning inside, because from where I stood she'd been kissing another man at her company gala. "Explain how that isn't betrayal." She let out a thin, shaky breath. Her answers sounded learned. "It was a mistake. He kissed me. I didn't kiss him. I saw your hand on his chest," I cut in. After that, her silence was deafening. The days that followed blurred. Her excuses came out in broken pieces. "It just happened, I wasn't thinking," a moment of weakness. When I demanded she cut contact, she refused. His name was Ryan, he was her team leader, the man she'd been traveling with on work trips for months. Suddenly the late nights, the new clothes, the soft, private laughter at her phone all fit together. I wanted to believe her when she said it had been one kiss. I wanted to tell myself it hadn't gone further. But I knew better. That kiss wasn't a beginning, it was the reveal. One night, while she showered, her phone charged on the table. My hand hovered. My conscience told me to leave it alone, but the other voice, reason, betrayal, whatever you call it, said she'd already broken our trust, so what was privacy worth now? If there was nothing to hide, there'd be nothing to find. I unlocked it. The truth sat there, immediate and ugly, dozens, no, hundreds, of messages stitched into what passed as a work chat. "Miss you already? Last night was incredible. Can't wait for the next trip." Selfies, little inside jokes, intimate exchanges that sketched a life I'd never shared. My stomach turned. By the time Claire padded back into the room in a robe, I was pale, her phone clutched in my hand. "Daniel," she said softly, face losing color. "You went through my phone." I met her eyes and kept my voice steady and low. I sifted through the life I'd believed I knew and found a stranger's truth. That night we didn't speak. We did not share a bed. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying 8 years, the vows, the house, the future we'd sketched in half-whispered plans. Were all those years a lie? Or had she become someone I didn't recognize? The next morning I packed a bag and left, not because I was consumed by fury, but because staying felt like letting the wound fester into something worse. Her messages lit my phone all day, apologies, pleading, promises. I love you, Daniel. They meant nothing. He means nothing. It didn't matter. Betrayal needs no meaning, the act itself breaks the architecture of a life. A week later she found me in the small apartment I'd rented, no makeup, no carefully arranged mask, just Claire, red-eyed and spent. Please, she begged. Can we talk? I let her in. We sat across the kitchen table with a gap between us that no leaning could close. Why him? I asked. Tears ran down her cheeks. I don't know, she whispered. We spent a lot of time together. He listened. He made me feel seen. I tightened my jaw and held my anger down. That's not what I mean, she quickly added. You've been a good husband, Daniel. I got lost. I searched her face for the woman I had loved. Getting lost doesn't mean missing an anniversary. Getting lost does not excuse an affair hidden for months. It became clear she wasn't crying because she'd lost me, she was crying because she'd been caught. The divorce didn't happen overnight. A foolish sliver of hope wanted her to fight for us. Her attempts sounded hollow, flowers, sweet words, texts that never led to the hard work, never cut him out. Once I called Ryan. You ruined my marriage, I told him. He sounded annoyed. Man, it wasn't serious. I hung up. Not serious. As if that made the knife any duller. Months slid by. Papers were signed. Friends picked sides. Her family begged for forgiveness, to remember the good years. But forgiveness isn't a gift handed out to soothe onlookers. 6 months later I saw her at a coffee shop. She looked smaller, worn from what she'd done. Daniel, she said, voice thin. I just wanted you to know. I ended it. He's gone. I nodded. Good for you. She searched my face for hope. Do you think we could? No, I said, gently but firmly. The night I found her, I didn't just lose a wife, I lost the version of her I could ever trust not to put me there. She filled her eyes with tears but offered no argument, only a low, I'm sorry, before she walked away. A year later the pain is no longer raw. It's an ache that hums like a scar when the weather turns. I am dating again, slowly. I no longer rummage through phones or demand constant reassurance. I've learned to trust cautiously, to let the memory serve as a marker, remember, but do not live there. Sometimes I replay the ballroom, the music, the press of bodies, the kiss. I say again the words I spoke that night, you just ended our marriage, and I remember the answer she gave, you're wrong. She was wrong.